I'm Raven.
And I'm Mouse.
And now for something a little different. A review of a game
Yay!
we just recently finished. Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy. Mouse, why don't you tell us a little bit about this game? Just a brief overview of what this game even is.
Okay, so this game is a game made by Quantic Dream, obviously. It's called obviously Fahrenheit. Something Prophecy. I can't remember the name of it. But obviously, it's a game about, I guess, a guy that finds out that he murdered someone.
Yeah.
Which was obviously the plot of the whole game. Obviously, you find out later that it's a whole thing to do with an ancient being that wants like another a body, I guess.
Yeah, because like it has something to do with like the Mayans or whatever, and yes. Basically, the person who's taking control of our main character can't like sully himself with the act of murder. Right, but they need like sacrifices, and then they need the little girl. Because she is the key to unlocking the answer, which will grant them power. And then they want to like fuck shit up from there, I guess.
Pretty much.
But what's really interesting, Mouse, is we don't just play as Lucas Kane.
Oh no.
Who else do we play as?
We play as so we play as Lucas, his brother. At one point, we play as Carla, and we also play as a partner, Tyler.
Yeah.
Who are basically these two people are the police officers that go around investigating the crime scenes that we leave in our basically aftermath.
Well, I think too, like playing as Carla and Tyler, like as the police officers who are trying to track down Lucas, like that was a very convenient way to kind of up the stakes and like make this feel so much more suspenseful. We're obviously Lucas is the protagonist. We're kind of siding with him just by nature of how the narrative unfolds. But then we're also playing as these characters who want to stop him. And it kind of creates this interesting tension, this push and pull that kind of drives the narrative forward in a very suspenseful way, which, I mean, really, really effective way to make that happen.
Definitely.
Very cool. But I thought we'd kind of go through the different aspects of the game. Obviously, we liked it. We enjoyed it. We finished the game. But I wanted to talk through, eventually. But I wanted to talk through different aspects of it and just kind of how we felt about them. I think it's a video game, so I think we should start with gameplay. So what are your thoughts on how this game actually played?
So you have the standard movement of the character, and then if you want to interact with something, you have to follow the pattern on the top of the screen. So you want to open the door, you have to press up. I believe it was up to go through it, which is normal. You don't want to go backwards. But if you wanted to, I believe, climb, if you're in the middle of a climbing section, you'd have to go right and then around, just to make it out like you're doing the actual movement itself. I believe the other gameplay aspects of it is the quick time events.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them like quick time events though. I think they're like Dance Revolution.
Yeah, that or like Simon Says. Like
like follow the pattern.
Yeah.
I did like it, but I just wish they would have made it a little bit simpler by just putting what you see now in Heavy Rain and all that stuff
Right.
in the remake of Fahrenheit. I would like a remake because it needs it definitely.
Yeah.
Also, the thing I almost forgot, we can't forget about the L1 and R1. If you basically have to tap them constantly just to make something move.
Oh,
Or
right.
diving in to save that kid, you have to swim. You have to press L1 and R1 rapidly.
Yeah.
Also with Carla and her panic attacks with being in the dark, which I don't blame her.
Right.
Doing the same thing with that as well. I think that was a little bit repetitive,
Yeah.
and also with the same as with the quick time events. I think they could have changed it around a bit with how they play that the quick time events worked, but you know, back in 2005, I guess they couldn't have too much. They couldn't do too much about it, but yeah, that's my gripe with the gameplay of it. But it's not as bad as I say it is.
Right. And like, again, like you said, this was 2005. Quantic Dream has
Yes.
come a long way since that point. They've ironed out a lot of the quick time event mechanics and just the
Yes.
regular like movement mechanics of how we're kind of making this simulated, trying to create some realism behind the actual movements.
Yeah.
Which I think they've definitely come a long way. I will say, just like watching you play, especially the like directional, like the left and right, with the Simon Says-esque,
Yeah.
like colorful crosses or whatever, where you were clearly pressing different button inputs. First of
Yeah.
all, it looked confusing to me. It also looked like, because it didn't match like actual buttons, it looked very confusing to me, first of all. And then second of all, it also looked a little bit childish,
Yeah.
kind of juxtaposed against the subject matter. I was like, this is a very childish kind of way to kind of realize this on the screen, and it doesn't match at all with like I
No.
said, it kind of just looked like a game of like that, the battery operated Simon Says game. It just looked like that, and I was like, but yeah, exactly. But like, we may have killed someone, and now we're trying to clear our name, but also, hey, who's up for a game of Simon Says? Like, what? Like, so yeah, I'm right there with you on the gameplay. Again, I think this just is really good historically because it shows how far Quantic Dream has come.
Definitely.
I admire the commitment. Like, they started, with this kind of idea for how they wanted their games to go, and they stuck with it and ironed it out to something that looks a whole lot better in Beyond Two Souls, better in Heavy Rain. So, you got to give them props for like sticking to their guns and being like, we're gonna make this as good as we possibly can.
Definitely. And I think what they're doing now is they're dipping their toes into some definitely dipping their toes into some people's favorites games, movie genre now. They're going to do Star Wars, which I am looking forward to. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that, to see what they can do with it, because if they knock it out of the park with that, they definitely can do it. I reckon.
Yeah.
Because it's Quantic Dream, they can do anything they set their minds to.
Yeah. If they can dream it, they can Quantic it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So moving on from gameplay though, I wanted to ask about how you felt about the characters, how they're written, all that good stuff. What are some of the things that come to mind?
I guess that the script also, some of it was a little bit overdone, I reckon. Especially with Carla, 5! Like that.
Oh my god. Yeah, when she said 5, like she was having a time.
She got a little bit excited over the 5, but
Yeah. I mean, it's a good number, but
yeah, exactly. You can't beat 5.
yeah.
I think I don't know. Like, would you say you had a favorite character? Like, talking of characters, who would you say your favorite character was in that game? If you could go back and decide.
Oh man. That is an excellent question. Just limiting myself to the main characters.
Mhm.
I think Carla might be my favorite. I think of the characters, for me at least, she's the most compelling. So she
Definitely.
obviously trying to prove herself. She deals with some form of anxiety, and how that presents some sort of obstacle to her beyond kind of what's actually happening. That's important for writing, is you need to create real characters who like have depth and dimension, and like, especially if it's something that's horror or thriller or adjacent to that genre, you need to have something that motivates them, that presents obstacles, that's not just the actual horror or thriller thing that's central to the narrative. Like, they need real obstacles and challenges that are central and specific to their characters in order to write good characters. And they definitely did that with Carla. Tyler, I felt, was pretty strong, but I felt that he didn't necessarily get a lot of the attention he deserved. I feel like the biggest thing was his relationship with his girlfriend, and whether or not he'd choose that over his job. And that just wasn't that compelling at the end of the day.
I think when I went through that, I was gonna choose go with her.
Yeah.
But I missed that timing, and I didn't get to choose. It chose for me. But if you went with him, it wouldn't have changed anything, I guess, because it would have been the same outcome.
Yeah.
If he went with her anyway. So. But I think the girlfriend was a bit selfish at times.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I get she doesn't want him to get killed, and he's a cop and all that stuff. But give the guy a break. Let him earn the money, okay? Just let him earn the money.
I feel like also he's pretty upfront. So like, I don't think this was a big secret, or like she should have known right from the get-go. Like, this is a very upfront, straightforward person. I don't think he's gonna hide certain aspects of what it's like to date a cop, or like, that's just not gonna come up,
No.
So it's like, where, like, do you even know who you're dating? Like, like, really? Like,
did you meet him and say, oh, did you meet him and then say, oh, don't tell me about your job, I don't want to know. And then she finds out, what, you're a cop?
yeah, right.
Like, don't be selfish about it, bitch. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh boy. But I guess if you put favorite character in the middle of it, I think my one would have been Tyler and his smooth talking sometimes, but
yeah.
And but yeah, that's my take on that.
So aside from that, what about overall, like, the story and the writing? Like, what do you think about how this story unfolded? Yeah.
Oh, good question. Okay, so basically, I like how it was going from a murder mystery to another murder being committed, and then it being turned into like a on the run kind of game where you're trying to escape from the police, and you're doing these other mystery solving bits where you're trying to figure out what's going on with Lucas and trying to find him at the same time. Also, while it's being turned into a supernatural game and mixing things up with like combat sequences and Matrix kind of sequences, I think it was okay,
Yeah.
but I wasn't a fan of it. Went from Lucas being on the run to Lucas being in love with the one of the police woman,
Yeah.
Carla, and I think they could have explained that a little bit better. Her gaining the call, actually seeing her get the call from Lucas, and seeing that unfold, instead of just finding out, oh, I've just got this. I hope this guy is actually here, and turning up at the graveyard, and finding out you're actually meeting Lucas. I think they could have explained that a little bit better instead of just throwing it in your face. But
Yeah. Well, I think it comes down to there were a lot of really interesting twists and turns, and really they wanted to fit a whole lot, like you said, like the murder mystery, the running from the law, the romance, the flashbacks to Marcus and Lucas growing up on the base with this weird experimental shit happening.
Yeah.
Lucas being exposed to this thing that makes him somehow special or supernatural. Like all of this stuff, they just kind of jam pack, and there are all of these interesting twists and turns. But when you add too many of those and you make the narrative so windy, you really have to make sure that you are doing the writing work of kind of establishing all that as you're going through it. And I think to your point, some of it didn't really land because they didn't really do that kind of foundational establishing work as they were going along. So you'd get here and you'd be like, wait, what do you mean that when did we get to the point where these blizzard conditions are now like national emergency? Like, I feel like we kind of glossed over that, and then it was like, boom, like everyone evacuate. This is like the end of the world. I'm like, how the fuck did we even get here so quickly?
It's like it turned into the day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like the whole blizzard thing, and like, why?
Like, yeah. Well, it really snowballed.
Yeah.
I think my biggest problem, and this might be just more of a me thing, like a personal issue. I get frustrated when we have all of this stuff happening and we're kind of dropping like what is truly the root cause, or what is the missing piece that gives us the entire explanation and has everything kind of fall into place. And that being, again, whatever was on that base where Lucas grew up. He was born kind of in close proximity and was exposed to this thing that makes him somehow supernatural or special.
Yeah.
And I hate stories that develop that way, where it's like all of these loose ends, and then it's like, oh yeah, here's the explanation. He was like born right by this thing, and that's how all of this comes together. It's like, yeah, but we get that like right at the bitter end of this story, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, did I really want to ride the ride just for that? I don't know, but I can't with story. Like, I'm sure that formula can be done really well. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure it was done really well here but that also just, again, might be my personal issue with that formula. for a story.
Right.
Like I have problems with that. I know I'm working on it. I'm seeking therapy, but that's my personal gripe. Maybe you did it well. Maybe that's just my bias. I don't think you did, but hey, maybe you did.
No. Oh, man.
Is there anything else about this game from 2005 that you want to mention? Oh boy. Oh no.
Oh boy. Okay, right. I'm not gonna explain too much, but this game's port on the PC, don't get it, okay? Do not buy it. You might find a way of overcoming the crashes the crashes, okay, on this game are horrible, right? You fail one time, dead. Game's dead, he's gone. Bye-bye. Freaking loading the game up is even more hell.
Oh,
okay? Oh, the amount of times in this walkthrough we did on this playthrough we did on the channel, sometimes it didn't go well.
Yeah, that is true.
One fail, done, it's gone, off, crashed. I think they didn't really port it well over to the PC, and I don't know if they didn't know they didn't do it properly, or they just were too lazy to sort it and just dropped it anyway, so they didn't have to bother with it. I'm hoping in the future we get a better remake, or a better remaster, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up,
right?
Because it's like you said, also it's 2005. They don't really care about games from 2005 anymore. They just leave it to die, I guess. But yeah, if you're recommending getting this, I wouldn't get it on the PC. Stick with the PlayStation 4 port. That's even better. There's no crashes in that, so and it's the PS2 version, so you can't complain.
Right.
But that was my main thing with the how the game ran and all that stuff. So
yeah, I think we did find that once we switched to window mode, it ran a lot better. But it is
definitely
like why, man? Like, if full screen is an option, like why
make it crash?
Like, yeah, why one format for the game that is supposed to be available?
Yeah.
Why does that not run optimally? Well, yeah, I mean, and that's putting it kindly. Like, yeah, the crashing was a huge issue when we were trying to record. So, yeah, I'm with you. If you do get it on Steam, or you already have it and you're past like the refund window or whatever, windowed mode is gonna, God bless you. Windowed mode is gonna be your savior, hopefully. Yeah, but hey, if you can get it on some other system, PlayStation 4, more power to you.
Or if you have an original PlayStation 2, get it on there.
Oh yeah. All right. And anything else you want to mention before we sign off?
Not much, really.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty fruitful discussion over the good, bad, and the ugly of Fahrenheit.
Definitely. Okay. I've been Mouse.
And I've been Raven.
And this has been a Raven Mouse Hour reviews. Hey.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.